Hey everyone, Shalom Uvracha. We're going to start in just one moment. Thanks for being with us. Alrighty. Welcome everyone. Let's sing this. Let's sing a niggin first. All your mics are off, so feel free to sing wherever you are. Actually, I wrote a niggin at the Shabbos table this Shabbos. Maybe if I sing it, I'll remember it. Ein dai andam didadi dai ein dai didadi dai ein didadi dai dai da do Allah ida dai amba ida dai Allah ida dai 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 la la Allah dai la 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 ida dam didadi la la ida dai da la la bum bum da 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 bum bum da 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 ding da 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 do 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 da dee dee ay nay 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 oy 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 oh 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 da 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 my ya Allah la ida la yam ba da dee da da I la la dee la 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 I la la dee da 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 dee da da I la la dee la 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 dee da la dee da la ya da dee da 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 dee la la da da la da dam da dam da dam la 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 oh da 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 yo 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 do 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 da dee 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 la 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 yam bam ba la 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 So I want to dedicate tonight's shir for the continued refuah of our dear friend and teacher Reb Chaim Kramer, Chaim Menachem ben Leah, who Baruch Hashem, good news, is on his way home today. Thank God, Baruch Hashem. And we're going to keep on davening for him like crazy, davening for him like mad. So, I don't know how many of you have been with us for the past few shiurim, but they're very raw. They're very uncut. And I got so much chizuk by watching my Rebbe give a shiur just about an hour or two ago in New York. Towards the end of the shiur, Rav Weinberger started crying and talking about how we're about to meet David Malka Mashiach. We're about to meet David HaMelech. And when we meet David HaMelech, we want to be able to relate to him as much as possible, even beforehand. So what's one of the most important things about David HaMelech is that David Malka Mashiach felt all alone in the world. He felt that as much as he knew that he had people that loved him, and as much as he knew that he also loved, when it boiled down to the essence of his life, he felt like he was badad, that he was alone. And this goes back to his great-grandfather Yehuda. So Rav Weinberger was crying. It's startling footage. He was saying how this is the whole avodah now. I know people, he's saying, are dying to just get back and be together, but the only real together that we're going to experience, this is just my take on what he was saying, but the only real together that we're going to experience is if we taste our own neshamas, and that's who shows up back to this together picture. And we have opportunity after opportunity right now to really be able to prepare ourselves, like he said, to meeting David Malka Mashiach. When he said those words, the whole chaver that we're watching, kind of everyone just started bawling. And we're gonna meet David Malka Mashiach, but the shaila is obviously a timing. So all the Torahs we're learning these days, we're trying just to get us really prepared for this thing called Yom Shekulo Shabbos. And that's what today's topic is all about. In sichos Haran, we're up to Kuf Nun Hey. If you have the sefer in front of you, you could learn it inside. We'll have the text up in just a moment. We'll put it up for you as well. Whatever is easier for you. Sometimes it's a geshmak to learn from the sefer itself. Kuf Nun Hey. So I just wanted to speak for a second before we go into the text. Actually, if you could take it off for a second. Thank you. We'll put it back on in just one moment. And the topic we had today was, were you happy this past Shabbos? And I don't know about you, but I could assume our Shabbatot here in our house have been the highest, and they've also been pretty wacky at times too, especially as the Shabbos afternoons, the Yontiv afternoons last for longer than what we're used to. Shabbos has been some of the highest in the world. Some of the davening I've been privileged to have in this room, or with my children, and dvarim keilu, mamash, and dvarim keilu. But Shabbos itself, the simcha of Shabbos, what Shabbos is really all about, despite the fact that, Baruch Hashem, we've involved ourselves with a world of Shabbos that's filled with holy things, with davening, with meals, hopefully with learning. But some key point of Shabbos, some key part of Shabbos may have been missing, and there could be, this is one of the other could be, mamish, it's all begeder efshar. I'm not saying this is or this isn't, but it could be that one of the things that were taken away from us was this, what we thought Shabbos was. And Hashem Yisbarach is saying, listen, you had to, it's been 5 weeks now, you have to relearn what Shabbos means. You have to relearn what the oneg of Shabbos is all about. Now in Kuf Nun Hey that we have in front of us, it's a story like we've seen many times. It's a story behind a Torah. It's the story behind a teaching. The teaching that I'm not sure when we'll learn it. Could be that's what we'll do next week. I haven't decided yet. The teaching is the 17th teaching in the second part of the Likutei Moharan. It's Tneinã Yud Zayin. That's the Torah that it's based on. And Reb Nassan, like he does so beautifully, is giving us the backstory of the teaching. And Reb Nassan is being so vulnerable in this piece. It's really it's almost like you want to close the sefer and be like, no, I shouldn't have heard that. It's almost like that. So now we can go inside the text and see what's going on over here. So this is sichos Haran Kuf Nun Hey. And like he says on top, Shayach lesiman yudzayin belikutei Tneinã, המתחיל צריך להיזהר מאוד להיות בשמחה בשבת. So the teaching over there in Likutei Moharan was a Torah that Rabbi Nachman gave over. He gave over this teaching sometime in the summer of 1808. So he's still living in Breslov. He didn't move to Uman yet. Rabbi Nachman's 36 years old. And there's a bunch of teachings over here that are coming, Tneinã in the second part, one after the other, all approximately around the same time. It was somewhere between Av and Tishrei. So between Tisha B'Av and Rosh Hashanah is when these Torahs were given. And some say this also could have been said on Shabbos Nachmo. And that opinion makes a lot of sense, because the point that a lot of the meat of that teaching in Likutei Moharan that this is based on is talking about the inyan of making sure you understand that being besimcha is really what Shabbos is all about, no matter what. I, again, am going to litvadot al chet, I'm going to confess my sins. For the last few years, Shabbos has been the least peaceful day of the week. And the struggle has been to find menucha within the simcha, the moments of simcha, menucha besimcha, or la Yehudim, finding menucha within it. And it's been, these days though, there's been a Shabbos, it's like been like nothing else. I don't know if it's because of the age of the children. I don't know what it is exactly, but Rabbi Nachman over here in the teaching that we may see begins off by saying over there, צריך לזהר מאוד להיות בשמחה בשבת. כל זה אמר בליל Shabbos Kodesh. So the whole teaching in Likutei Moharan, Rabbi Nachman gave over on Friday night. So now Reb Nosson says like this. The Rebbe turned to me. ובתחלה, you see where it says בתחלה, the second line, the second paragraph over here. ובתחלה, שאל אותי, האתה שמח בשבת? Reb Nosson says that Rabbi Nachman turned to me, he said, tell me, Nosson, are you happy on Shabbos? You know, in general? השבתי, אני לפעמים נתעורר עליי איזה יראה בשבת. Sometimes this יראה, this fear, comes and attacks me. שקורין, פרום. Now, it's interesting. Frum, like in Hebrew, the word charedi. What does charedi mean? Chared. You are chared. You are fearful. Hopefully not in a negative way, but that you live in a state of charada. Like you acknowledge the fact that your gig in this world is to be in this presence of God kind of gig. That can put a lot of charada inside of you. So Reb Nosson said that basically he was saying, I'm not always so besimcha because I experience some kind of presence of Hashem, but because it's so powerful, it puts me in a state of yirah. It puts me in a state of this kind of fear, this awe. And I feel, maybe there's simcha in there, Reb Nosson says, but really, I feel a lot of pachad. ואמרתי לו בזה הלשון. So Reb Nosson said, I told him in this lashon, ich bin anol frum, which means I'm a bit afraid during Shabbos. V'hishiv, and Rabbi Nachman answered him, he says, lo kachu. That's not the way it should be. Ha'ikar hu simcha. The ikar is really simcha. That's really what should be. Ha'ikar hu simcha. Okay, so we're over here. Okay, ואז, then Nosson continues and he explains more. This is really fascinating. ואז הוכיח אותי הרבה להיות בשמחה דייקה בשבס. Then Reb Nosson says that Reb Nachman admonished me, he rebuked me. He made sure that I really worked hard on understanding that being besimcha on Shabbos is more important than being besimcha bichlal during the week. Dafka on Shabbos. ואז אמר כל העניין הנתפס בליקוטי תנינא סימן י"ז הנזכר לאל מעניין מעלת השמחה בשבס. And then he gave over the whole teaching in Likutei Moharan Tneinã that we mentioned before regarding what a high and exalted level it is to be with Simcha on Shabbos. I realized that we're not going to be able to get out of it without looking inside. So I'm just going to read for you one or two lines from here. So, because it's obviously in the context of this lesson. So Reb Nachman says, that there's a sefer. It's a sefer called Reshit Chochma. And the Reshit Chochma is a sefer that it's basically an encyclopedic work of Musar. It takes from the Zohar, and it was written by one of the students of the Ramak and of the Ari, of Rebbe Moshe Cordovero, Rebbe Eliyahu D.V. Dad. And what's interesting about it though is that the Alter Rebbe, if I'm not mistaken, the Alter Rebbe also in Tanya, when he begins to explain where he says, Melukat mipi soifrim usfarim. So I believe, Shoshana, you correct me if I'm wrong. I think he also, right? He also says there, one of the places that I drew my teachings from was also from the Reishis Chochmah. So over here, the Nachman says that when you look in Reishis Chochmah, in the Shar called Shar HaKadusha, so it says over there, read over there everything it says about Shabbos. And then it says, Velasum libo heitev al kol advarim hane'emarim sham be'inyan kedusha asuma l'Shabbos kodesh. Learn inside, and Be'ezrat Hashem, we should do that. Learn inside all those things that speak about the kedusha of Shabbos in the Sefer Reishis Chochmah. Ki yesh sham kama dvarim pratiyim yekarim mikdushat u'malat HaShabbat. Ki kol inyan u'mala ne'emar sham al Shabbos hu davar bifnei atzmo. He says that over there's so many valuable points about the holiness of Shabbos and all of its advantages, and each topic and advantage that's mentioned there regarding Shabbos is its whole world. And one should understand this teaching there very, very well. Why? This is the point. So that a person will be inspired to accept Shabbos with great and powerful joy as is fitting. I have to share with you something that I might have shared before, but it just fits into this so perfectly. I shared with you that when I was living in Los Angeles, one of the first gigs I ever got was basically David Sachs, who I've mentioned many, many times, and we had the privilege of having in the shul also. He used to hire me and my buddies from the Moshav band, Yehuda, David, and Meir. We would go down to Venice Beach every Sunday afternoon. And if you've been to Venice Beach on any day of the week, you realize that Hashem has a really divine imagination, okay, to say the least. And we would play in front of a sign. There was a banner that was behind us that said on it, 6 more days till Shabbos. And we did this every Sunday. And we played, and this banner was 6 more days till Shabbos. I brought a guitar, Yehuda brought a shofar or a drum, more guitars, mandolin, and we played there for a while. Now, what ended up happening is that after a few weeks, there was one guy that came to us and started giving us like a hard time. He's saying, you Jews, you liars, and well, he put a few 4-letter words in there in between. But he says, you Jews, you liars. Like, what now? What do we do now? We're just playing some music. We even threw in some Jerry Garcia and Neil Young. What are you freaking out for? And there's no missionary trip. He's like, you guys were here last week promoting the same gig. You think no one noticed that you were here the last week and the week before pushing this big showdown that's going to happen in 6 days? And now you're back again saying, oh, we're pushing something. You're just trying to get people in. And I remember looking to Yehuda, looking to my friends, I'm like, I cannot believe that this totally stoned skateboard Venice Beach dude actually brought down to me a little bit more of what Shabbos is all about. Yes, if I understood what Shabbos has to offer me, I would promote it on the street corners of the world every single Sunday with banners saying 6 more days till Shabbos. I would live my life with that banner behind me. Mondays, I would live a banner of 5 more days till Shabbos. But Rabbi Nachman is saying, when you learn in the Reishis Chochmah about the Kedusha of Shabbos, then essentially what ends up happening, you know what you have. You see, we think we go into Shabbos and it's like this thing of, it's a feel-good time, it's a family time. Thank you, Hashem, for setting it up like this, that I have one day that I don't have to, I'm not on my phone and I have family time. But it's so much deeper than that. But Reb Nassim is saying, but what can happen to a person when they tune into the depths of Shabbos? What could happen? This place of yirah can take a hold of you. And when yirah, when you know what, this is very important. So, Chavre, if you could please open your hearts. This is like one of the teachings I really wish we were in person to learn. It's very, very difficult to do it on Zoom, but we're doing our best. When you know what you could have or what you really have deep down inside, it puts you in a state of awe in front of it. Meaning, for women, it's very different, but the first time you realize that you're a parent and that God trusts you with a soul, right? So what would you describe to be your initial emotion to that realization? It's not so much simcha as it is yirah. Like, I'm just in awe. Remember the story of Rebbe Elimelech Lizhansk? They found him crying by his baby's crib the first night that he brought his baby home. And the Hasidim asked him, why are you crying, Rebbe? It's such a simcha. And the Rebbe said to them, the Rebbe Elimelech said to them, are you kidding me? Look at this. God trusts me with the piece of him. And I know that I could never do it justice. So I'm already now begging this piece of God for mercy, that I'm going to do the best I can, but it won't be close to what this piece of God deserves to receive in this world. That's not simcha, that's yirah. But these things happen to us when we come in tune with the awesome privilege of what we already have. All right? So Reb Nassim says, you know, quite often I would get into this place of yirah, and simcha is not what I would say that described my Shabbos. It was more like, oh my God, you know, Kabbalistically speaking, there's this ascension of worlds, aliyah seilamais. The Rebbe has all these amazing ma'amarim on this, and the world's going back up. Like all the things that we know happen on a cosmic level, the tzaddikim are aware of that. So Reb Nassim's put in his place, and he's saying, Rabbi Nachman, I'll tell you the truth, it really freaked me out. So again from the third paragraph, ואז הוכיח אותי הרבה להיות בשמחה דייקה בשבת. ואז אמר כל העניין הנתפס בליקוטי תנינא סימן י"ז, הנזכר לאל, מעניין מעלס השמחה בשבס. ונכלל שם, and what's written also in that teaching, which we didn't get to, but we started learning, after learning the Reishit Chokhmah, Rabbi Nachman says, he explains, שגם היראה, really being in awe, having real yirah, ikar aliyata, how do you really restore yirah to the right place? And this has to do with the situation we're in right now. How do we restore fear to its proper place? Al yedei hasimcha shel Shabbos daika. Dafka, when you have simcha and Shabbos, then this element of yirah, which we all have, and in these days, it's coming out a bit more because thousands of people are dying. There's over 2 million people that have corona. So yirah has a place in the world, like we learned 3 weeks ago. How do I restore it to the right place? Rabbi Nachman says, when your simcha is on Shabbos, it puts everything in its place, specifically the midah of yirah, of how much awe I have, how much fear I have, the right, proper amount and its location in my being. So really it boils down to that the ikar of everything is to make sure I'm besimcha on Shabbos. Third line, ve'az daika ola hayirah shehum bechinas ma שקורין פרום. And then this concept of what being frum is all about goes into its right place. And Reb Nassim continues, and he says, והעריך הרבה בשיחה הקדושה הזאת, and he went on and on in this sicha, that Shabbos, והוכיח אותנו ואותי ביותר. He was doing tochecha, he was rebuking us chevra, his chasidim, and me specifically, Reb Nassim says, the Rebbe was singling me out, he was pointing me out. להתגבר להיות שמח וטוב לב בשבת, to make sure that no matter what, I overcome anything that prevents me from being besimcha, and make sure that I'm besimcha on Shabbos, ולהרבות בתענוגי שבת, and to make sure that I have a lot of different pleasures of Shabbos, like it's written over there. ואמר, and he said like this, Rabbi Nachman says like this, הלא כל הוצאותיו של אדם קצובין, חוץ מהוצאות שבתות ויום טוב. It's a very interesting statement. So I found the translation. I wanted to understand what that meant. So Rabbi Nachman says that, like you said before, go crazy with delicacies for Shabbos. All your income is decreed from the beginning of the year. That's a Gemara in Beitza. But what you spend for Shabbos and for Yantiv is not included in the decree. Meaning, be'amar halo gam ba'al habayit pashut hu samach b'shabat behadagim והז'ופיצא שלו. That's not pizza. Let's figure out what that means. He says, even a simple family man can make himself happy with tasty food, such as fish and broth. Meaning what makes a person, that's interesting for us Yiddish seekers, zhopitza is broth. Or maybe that's Ukrainian, I don't know, go figure. But the point over here, I think, of what he's trying to say is that the simcha that's available to you on Shabbos, that same simcha, that thing that makes you the simcha on Shabbos, wouldn't make you so much besimcha during the week. On a Thursday afternoon, on a Wednesday evening, on a Monday morning, with your fish and zhopitza, sorry, I'm going to keep on saying it, that your fish and your broth, that's not going to bring you so much simcha, but somehow on Shabbos, when you paid and you spent money that you worked hard to earn, lechovet Shabbos, that thing brings you simcha, tremendous simcha. You know, I've seen people come to our shul for Shabbos after taking like 3 buses from different places in the country and tramps and hitches and whatever, then they come for Shabbos. What they experience on Friday night is something that we long to have naturally, but it's the famous saying, Kol hatorach be'erev Shabbat yochal b'Shabbat. So Rabbi Nachman says, Rabbi Nachman is kind of telling this chaver, he's like, if you get stuck in a place of yira, if that's where you get stuck with your whatever level of exaltedness you're reaching, when it comes to Kedushas Shabbos, you're simply missing the point. It's not about that. There's so much simcha that's waiting for you right there. Don't ignore it. And if you're besimcha for real on Shabbos, then the yirah that you experience later on that Shabbos, it'll go into its right place. It'll find its home. And it will express itself in a manner that doesn't, God forbid, take away from Kedusha. Now, ואחר כך אמר לי, and then he told me, האתה, we're in the 4th paragraph. Then Rabbi Nachman told Reb Nosson, האתה, יהיה לך ממה להיות במראה שחורה. Now he told him basically, Reb Nosson, now you actually do have something to be depressed about. Meaning he just told us to be besimcha and everything, right? So he's like, now be depressed over the fact that you weren't besimcha. Don't be depressed over the fact that you have fear. Not even be depressed is the wrong word, but be concerned over the right thing. כי מאחר שהוכיח אותי הרבה להיות בשמחה בשבת, יכול להיות שאהיה חס ושלום במראה שחורה ביותר מזה בעצמו. You know, whatever happens to you, like, you know, you're going to see your Rebbe, your tzaddik, your friend, and you start discussing life and whatnot, and somehow, you know, you thought you were in a really good place, spiritually speaking. Then the person that you're speaking to or you're there to receive from basically makes you feel that, without even trying, but that wherever you thought you were holding was bichlal, not such a good place, not something to write home about. So Reb Nosson saying over here, wow, you know, I came to the Rebbe talking to him about I have yira and this and that. And now Reb Nachman's he made me feel like, Ribono Shleilim, I would do anything right now to not be in that state of yira, right? שצריכים להיות בשמחה בשבת ואיני זוכה לזה, because really the Rebbe said, I have to be besimcha on Shabbos, and that's not where I am these days. Now this was said on Shabbos, right? So now look at this, the 3rd line. ובאמת כיוון מאוד למחשבתי בזה. But really the Rebbe was really כיוון למחשבתי. He actually read my thoughts. כי תכף בעת אמירתו כל הנזכר לאל. Because right after the Rebbe said everything I just mentioned before, what did I start thinking about? התחיל לעלות על מחשבתי דאגות איך זוכים לשמחה בשבת. So then I knew, like, okay, so I want to be besimcha on Shabbos, but I started thinking, but how am I going to be besimcha on Shabbos? And which caused me even more distress. And that happens quite often when we want to achieve something spiritually. We want to achieve something that we know is good for us, but we're so freaked out that maybe we're going to be missing the point, or maybe that we won't be able to do that which we want to do, which we're supposed to do. So we get freaked out by the fact that we won't know how to accomplish what our hearts want to accomplish. That's what Rebbe is saying. ובזה שאמר דיבוריו הקדושים האלו, אתה יהיה לך, and then when Rabbi Nachman says, now you'll have a reason to be במראה שחורה, the truth is, בזה ניחם וחיזק אותי הרבה. The truth is, the Rebbe consoled me and gave me a lot of koach. שעל כל פנים לא יהיה לי מראה שחורה מזה בעצמו, שאני מחויב לשמוח בשבת וכנ"ל. So what is Rabbi Nachman saying here? It's a little bit complicated. I'm going to try to the best of the ability and with my limited perception of these tremendous tzaddikim's words to explain. In the beginning, when someone points out to us where we're at for real, we want to smack them. And I'm not saying Reb Nosson wanted to smack Reb Nachman, but you hear what I'm saying when it comes to between people. And even sometimes when it comes between student and teacher, that when you think that what you're doing is showing them how high you are, and they're pointing out to you, that's not at all the point of Avodat Hashem, that stings. That hurts. But when you get through the ego a second later, you're so thankful that this person pointed out to you how you may have been missing the point completely. So Reb Nosson said, yes, in the beginning, Rabbi Nachman said to me, oh boy, you're going to have a reason to be depressed now because you're going to go crazy in your thoughts about how you're going to be Besimcha on Shabbos. So in the beginning, that didn't sound so good to Reb Nosson. But after a little while, he realized, wow, what a great privilege that I could shift my energy from a place of thinking I have to be in this state of awe and yirah and always be careful that I'm not messing up Shabbos. Now, what is Rabbi Nachman saying to me? Your avoda is to be besimcha on Shabbos. That's your avoda. And here's where I want to open my heart to all of you. And my wife was sitting right here next to me, has been hearing me saying this all week. But if I'm not going to talk from the place of where I am, then what's any of this worth? So this is what I'm feeling right now in a very, very strong way. What's the avoda right now? What is Hashem telling us right now? Through this whole shift of energy, what is Hashem telling us right now? So in the beginning, there's a lot of, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. And that might have stung in the beginning. That might have stung. But when you stick through the journey and you stick through the ride and you keep on trying to listen to what the Ribono Shel Olam is saying in between all the words that are unspoken, you realize that Hashem is saying the avoda now is to actually be besimcha over the situation that I have put you through right now. The avoda now, and Rabbi Weinberger always says, it's not a b'diavad. We're not living in a b'diavad situation. This Zoom learning is not b'diavad. By the Ribono Shel Olam, Rebbe says there's no b'diavad. It's all lechatchila. That means that anything that we've had to readjust in our lives, and I feel a little bit calmer saying this now that the 4 precious bar mitzvah boys in our community, like heroes and like giants, and their parents and families as well, went through it like real giborim, and we've spoken about it so much, that we can really be like this situation that we're in right now. Hashem is saying lechatchila, this is how I determined when I created the world that I want you to be close to me. This is how. Instead of being in a state of yirah v'pachad, I have to grab the moments where I'm able to be samech with the simcha, be like, Ribono Shel Olam, this is amazing. There are people that don't know any other way of talking to you unless they're in a room filled with people. And here, Hashem, you're telling me, I want to hear you alone. I want to hear you. So this is just beautiful. In the beginning, but again, Reb Nosson is showing us, in the beginning, when someone tells you that what you thought was important isn't the most important, that hurts. The ego has a hard time hearing that. But when you mevatel yourself to the tzaddik, his words and his eitzah, you're so thankful that they pointed out to you that the way you thought you were living your life, you haven't even dabbled into all the riches that exist inside of you. The extent that you thought you were in touch with your neshama is nowhere close to where it could be now. And I feel really strongly that that's what Rabbi Nachman was telling Reb Nassan. He was telling Reb Nassan, I know you think that this state of yira is the ultimate. And that's how you taste your neshama. Lo, ze lo ha'ikar. That's not what it's about on Shabbos. On Shabbos, it's besimcha. And through the simcha of Shabbos, then you'll be able to implement the midah of yira in its proper place. So look at the second to bottom paragraph. I know that this is a very, very big concept, but I hope we're bringing it down to a level that we could somewhat relate to. So look at the second to bottom paragraph. גם בעת שהיה מרבה להוכיח אותי על זה להיות שמח בשבת. So even when he was really like, making it a point to show me, Reb Nassan, you got to be besimcha on Shabbos. And everyone heard, Reb Nassan says, everyone heard the Rebbe talking to me like about this. אז עניתי ואמרתי, so I answered him, אני חפץ ורוצה מאוד להיות בשמחה בשבת. Oh, Rebbe, how much do I want this? How much do I long for it? I wish, I want it so badly. וכוונתי היה, אם איני זוכה לשמחה בשבת, על כל פנים, אני רוצה מאוד להיות בשמחה. So, Reb Nassan says, my kavana, when I told him, I wish I had the simcha on Shabbos, my kavana was that even if I don't merit the simcha on Shabbos, nonetheless, I still want to be the simcha on Shabbos. And then he says, וכבר שמעתי הרבה ממנו מגודל מעלת הרצון והכיסופים. Reb Nassan says, I know my Rebbe. My Rebbe spoke to us all the time about העיקר הוא הרצון, העיקר הוא הרצון. So even though I wasn't there yet, but when I started speaking to Reb Nachman and telling him, oh boy, do I wish I had it. Do I wish I had it? I know, I already learned from my Rebbe that kind of dibur, that kind of speech saying, oh man, I wish I was there, is also a very, very big thing. And he ends off here, ve'ana ve'amar le'ha'olam. So Reb Nachman turned to all the Hasidim around there, and he said, Hashamatem mashu omer? Did you hear what Reb Nassan said? Heitev asher diber. Like they tell you in yeshiva, you said good. That's like a yeshivish terminology when someone says the right answer. Ah, you said good. You said good. You ever hear that phrase before? Mm-hmm. It goes like this. Ah, you said good. So that's what Reb Nachman is saying over here. Mechila, I'm sorry. Sometimes these things slip out. So Reb Nachman was saying to Reb Nassan, for everybody, yeah, you said very good. Zot omeret. You and I sometimes learn concepts in shiurim like this, and we're like, oh my God, it's too painful for me to even try to get there because I don't think that that's part of my life at all. Well, what's wrong with wanting it? Wanting things that seem very far-fetched is a very, very big thing, Daniela, and others as well. Yeah. It's a very important thing to remember the value of Ratzon. Because if Rebbe Nassan can tell Rebbe Nachman, I wish I was Besimcha on Shabbos, you and I can also say, I wish I lived in a state of Dveikus. And it doesn't mean we're being phony because we don't feel like we could actually get there. Man can wish, man can hope, man can pray, man can desire. And Reb Nachman drills this into us throughout all his teachings that ha'ikar ha'ratzon, ha'ikar ha'ratzon. So I'm sorry, if you could go back, Shim, there's one more paragraph on the bottom that we didn't get to. גם הוכיח אותנו אז, you see on the bottom, גם הוכיח אותנו אז לזמר זמירות בשבת הרבה. By us, Baruch Hashem, no matter what's going on, zmiras. And somehow, Baruch Hashem, our Shabbos table is mainly Breslov zmiras. I didn't grow up like this, but somehow about the zmiras of Breslov, my brother, I once told my brother a vort, and he quotes me about this all the time. He said, he said, you know, you could be a total Chabadsker and Tanya all day and the tzim and the oil and everything, but Shabbos, Zmiros, it's Breslov. No one ever gave a heta to not be a Breslover during Zmiros Shabbos. Never heard of it before. So the Zmiros are so regal. They're so regal. They're so heavenly. They're so divine. The truth is, if anyone would want, I'd be more than happy to set up some kind of a mix, a mixtape. I'm so 1990s, a mixtape. I don't know what you call it, a playlist. So, it's like today, I didn't tell you. Our Ahava says to me, right, Abba, you weren't born in the olden days? You weren't born in the olden days, right? And Mommy, she was born in the olden days? No, not the olden days. But Saba Avshalom, he was born in the old. Anyway, so, but not Bubby Mom, don't worry. So, we'll do some kind of a playlist for Breslovers Miros. It's so wonderful. So Rabbi Nachman, he says, because Rabbi Nachman knows that definitely brings out the simcha on Shabbos. So the bottom paragraph is here, Gam hochiach otanu az lezamer zmirot בשבת הרבה. ולבלי להסתכל על שום מונע מאיזה בני אדם היושבים על השולחן שנדמה לו שאין רצונם בזה. And Rabbi Nachman says, pay no attention to the guest, to the sibling, to the in-law, to the outlaw, to the uncle, to the child, to the spouse, who is putting on a face of, I really do not want to hear that right now. You sing Zmiros at the Shabbos table. You know, there's only two times that Shlomo Katz would really get angry. One we have recorded because it wasn't on Shabbos, and the other was on Shabbos. I have the startling recording of his where he screams at a Jews for Jesus chaver that came in and started interrupting his shir in the middle of shir. It happened 2 different times. And he, in the middle of, after talking to him for a few minutes, he lost it on them. And the other is when people would talk during Zmiros Shabbos, couldn't take it. Very delicate time. It's a time where the gates are open for Simcha of Shabbos. You don't want to mess around with it. You want to really take it in. So Nachman says, don't pay any attention to the downers in the room around the table that are like, I'd rather if we didn't really learn this right now, if we didn't sing this right now. Let's just get the meal over with. So Rabbi Nassan ends here and he says, Rabbi Nachman said, Rak leitchazek, lezamer zmirot בשמחה. Just get chizuk, zmiros בשמחה, ולהנהיג השולחן כל יום השבת בשמחה גדולה. And bichlal, the way that you manhig the shulchan, like the rhythm, the harmony, the soundtrack of your Shabbos table should be with elated happiness, with simcha. Ki ikara hu ha-simcha b'Shabbat, because what Shabbos is really all about is not how much do you feel rested. It's how much do you take advantage of the simcha that's there for us. There are many reasons why I felt it's important to learn this teaching tonight. Bichlal, because keseder, this is where we're up to in sichos Haran, but also because obviously we're each trying to figure out and understand what to do with this inyan of yira, of fear, of awe that we have, that we're not sure what to do with. And now that in our country, here, they're starting to be a bit more lenient with certain laws, even though we're probably more confused today about what's the right thing to do than we've been for the last 5 weeks, because nothing has been clear. It seems that Yira is still playing some kind of a game with us. So one of the ways that Hashem Yisbarach is telling us, what to do, is that, listen, on Shabbos, Hashem, you could pull down the text now, thank you. He's basically saying, you want to know how to make sure Yira is in the right place? Then make sure that Shabbos is for real. Make sure that Shabbos is mamish besimcha. Because when Shabbos is on, everything kind of falls into the right place. And please, Chevra, don't walk away from this shir depressed, saying, last time I felt simcha on Shabbos was whatever. You can walk away from the shir saying, wow, I dream of a Shabbos table of Malchus. I want so badly to have a Shabbos table that's filled with so much simcha, with so much ne'imut, with zmirot. And like Rav Pluger says, if while you're in the middle of these dreams of wanting the highest Shabbos in the world, 3 children are hanging off the chandelier, 4 glasses break, you have to look at it and laugh and say, Klum chaser bebeit hamelech. There's nothing lacking right now from this tish. This is lechatchila, the way the Ribono Shel Olam wanted it to be. I give us all a bracha that our Shabbos should be filled with simcha. Our Ratzon to have them Besimcha should only grow, and we should continue to receive guidance and light from all the tzaddikim ha'amitim shebedorenu. But it's getting kind of clear that Rabbi Nachman really was thinking about you and me. Laila tov, everybody.